Tropical Storm Debby in Florida, August 4, 2024.
This is wild.
I forgot you haven't been through one of these before.
Tropical Storm Debby caused flooding across the region, including Fort Myers Beach, which was hit hard today, August 4, 2024. Tropical Storm Debby strengthened rapidly Sunday and was forecast to become a hurricane as it moved through the Gulf of Mexico and hit the Florida coast. The National Hurricane Center said in an update posted at 8 a.m. Sunday that Debby was about 155 miles, 250 kilometers, southwest of Tampa, Florida, and about 205 miles, 330 kilometers, south-southwest of Cedar Key, Florida. The storm was moving north-northwest at 13 miles per hour, 20 kilometers per hour, with maximum sustained winds of 60 miles per hour, 85 kilometers per hour, up from 50 miles per hour, 80, a few hours ago.
We're kind of, I guess, a little stuck.
The storm was strengthening over the southeastern Gulf and was expected to become a hurricane before making landfall in Florida's Big Bend region, the center said. I urge all Floridians to be aware of the fact that this state is going to be hit by a hurricane, probably a Category 1, but it could be a little stronger than that, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said at a briefing Sunday morning. But we're definitely going to see a lot of rain. We're going to see a lot of water. We're going to see a lot of events. That's going to happen. There's going to be power outages, the governor said. Wind and thunderstorms have spread across a wide area including southern Florida, the Florida Keys and the Bahamas. Hurricane and tropical storm warnings are in effect for parts of the northern Florida coast. Debby is likely to bring heavy rain and coastal flooding to much of Florida's Gulf Coast Sunday night, and forecasts suggest the system could make landfall as a hurricane Monday and move across northern Florida into the Atlantic Ocean. Forecasters warned that the storm could also bring heavy rain to northern Florida and the Atlantic coasts of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina early next week. Debby is the fourth named storm of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season after Tropical Storm Alberto, Hurricane Beryl, and Tropical Storm Chris, all of which formed in June. The National Hurricane Center in Miami predicted the storm system would strengthen as it turned off the southwest coast of Florida, where the water is very warm. Intensification is expected to accelerate later Sunday. Hurricane warnings were issued for parts of the Big Bend and Florida Panhandle, while tropical storm watches were in place for Florida's west coast, the southern Florida Keys and the Dry Tortugas. Tropical storm warnings extend farther west into the Panhandle. Warnings mean hurricane conditions are expected within 36 hours, while alerts mean conditions are possible within 48 hours. Tropical storms and hurricanes can trigger river flooding and overwhelm drainage systems and canals. Forecasters warned of 6 to 12 inches, 150 millimeters to 300 millimeters, of rain and up to 18 inches, 450 millimeters, in isolated areas, which could cause flash flooding and, locally quite severe, urban flooding. Forecasters also warned of moderate flooding in some rivers along Florida's west coast. Some of the heaviest rain could actually fall next week along the Atlantic coast from Jacksonville, Florida, through coastal Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. The storm is expected to slow down after it makes landfall. We could see some stalling or meandering around the coastal areas of the southeastern United States, National Hurricane Center Director Michael Brennan said at a briefing Saturday. So that's going to exacerbate not only the rainfall risk, but also the potential for storm surge and some gusty winds. Flat Florida is prone to flooding even on sunny days, and the storm is expected to bring waves of 2 to 4 feet, 0.6 to 1.2 meters, along much of the Gulf Coast, including Tampa Bay, with tides as high as 7 feet, 2.1 meters, north of the sparsely populated Big Bend region. Forecasters warned of life-threatening storm surge danger in areas including Hernando Beach, Crystal River, Steinhatchee, and Cedar Key. Officials in Citrus and Levy counties ordered mandatory evacuations of coastal areas, while Hernando, Manatee, Pasco, and Taylor counties called for voluntary evacuations. Shelters were opened in those areas and several others. Collier County saw some of the first impacts from the storm. In Naples, scattered showers had been reported accompanied by small waves on the coast. As weather conditions worsened, flooding was reported on highways in Naples. In downtown Punta Gorda, all roads east and west of US 41 were closed by authorities due to flooding around 2:30 p.m. Another concern for Southwest Floridians was keeping power on during and after the storm hit our area. This potentially historic rainfall could result in significant flooding in some areas. Richard Pask, senior hurricane specialist at the National Hurricane Center, wrote in a public advisory warning of life-threatening situations. Floridians were bracing for the state's first hurricane of the year in a season that forecasters say could be one of the worst on record.
Bit of a problem.
Mandatory evacuations were ordered ahead of Debby in some areas. Leon County, where Tallahassee is located, opened 6 shelters at schools across the county. The Hurricane Center predicted life-threatening conditions, including a storm surge of up to 7 feet, 2 meters.